Have you ever noticed how some days just pass and others stay with you? Days you live through on autopilot, and days that feel heavier, quieter, almost uncomfortable. Candlemas is one of those days. It doesn't shout, it doesn't entertain, it doesn't try to impress. It simply lights a candle and waits, and that's exactly why it's dangerous, in the best sense of the word. Because light never comes just to decorate. Light comes to reveal. Candlemas is not a Catholic tradition for tradition's sake. It's rooted in a moment that actually happened. A moment so quiet, so ordinary looking that you could have missed it if you blinked. Mary walks into the temple, 40 days after giving birth. Poor, tired, invisible to most eyes. But let me paint the picture for you. Really see it. It's early morning in Jerusalem. The air is cold, that kind of cold that makes your breath visible. Mary's been awake since before dawn. She's walked from Bethlehem, carrying the child wrapped in simple cloth. Her sandals are worn. Her hands are rough from work. 40 days of silence, 40 days of wondering what this all means, 40 days of nursing this child who doesn't cry like other babies, whose eyes seem to look right through her into eternity. Joseph walks beside her carrying the offering, 2 turtle doves in a small wooden cage, the offering of the poor. That's what the law prescribed for families who couldn't afford a lamb. They couldn't afford a lamb. Think about that. The Lamb of God, brought to the temple by parents who couldn't afford a lamb for sacrifice. The temple is massive. Enormous limestone blocks, polished smooth by thousands of hands over hundreds of years. The morning light catches the gold on the walls. The smell of incense is everywhere, thick and heavy, mixing with the smoke from the altar of burnt offerings. And the noise, pilgrims everywhere, merchants selling doves and lambs, priests moving through the crowds in their ceremonial robes. Everyone is busy. Everyone has somewhere to be. Mary and Joseph are just 2 more faces in the crowd. Nobody looks twice at them. Nobody notices the child. That's how God enters, quietly, humbly, almost invisible. She's wearing the simple clothes of a woman who had nothing to boast about in the world's eyes. Her head is covered, her eyes are lowered. She moves through the court of women toward the place where new mothers present themselves for purification. And then something changes. An old man appears, moving through the crowd with a speed that doesn't match his age. His eyes are locked on Mary, on the child, Simeon. Let me tell you about Simeon, because his story is ours. He was old. The scriptures don't say exactly how old, but Jewish tradition suggests he might have been over 100. Some say he was one of the 70 translators who worked on the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew scriptures. And if that's true, then Simeon had done something extraordinary decades earlier. He'd come to a passage in Isaiah that said, "Behold, a virgin shall conceive." And the word troubled him. A virgin? Surely that was a mistake. Surely it should say, young woman. But when he reached for his pen to change it, tradition says the Holy Spirit stopped him, and the Spirit made him a promise. You will not see death until you see the Lord's Messiah. So Simeon waited. Year after year, decade after decade. He watched empires rise and fall. He buried friends. He grew old. His hands shook. His eyes grew dim. But every morning he went to the temple, watching, waiting, believing a promise that seemed more impossible with every year that passed, until this morning. The moment he sees Mary with the child, something ignites in his chest. Not a thought, not a theory, a knowing that comes from deeper than reason. He moves forward, his feet steadier than they've been in years. His hands reach out, trembling not with age now, but with awe. And Mary, looking into his ancient eyes, sees something that makes her breath catch. She sees recognition. She places the child in Simeon's arms, and this old man who'd waited a lifetime for 40 seconds holds God. His voice cracks, not with fear, with recognition, with relief, with a joy so deep it almost sounds like grief. Lord, now let your servant depart in peace, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, that you have prepared in the presence of all peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles, and for glory to your people Israel. A light for revelation, not comfort, not success, not a promise of an easy road. Light. And light changes everything. You see, when light enters a room, it doesn't ask permission, it doesn't apologize. It just shows what was always there, the dust you ignored, the crack in the wall you painted over, the mess you learned to walk around. That's why some people close the curtains, but Simeon doesn't stop there. He looks at Mary and his voice changes, becomes heavier, more careful. Behold, this child is appointed for the fall and rising of many in Israel, and for a sign that is opposed. And a sword will pierce through your own soul also, so that thoughts from many hearts may be revealed. Mary hears those words. A sword will pierce your soul. She doesn't understand it yet, but she holds it. She'll carry it for 33 years until she stands at the foot of a cross and feels that sword go through. This is why the Church blesses candles on this day, on February 2nd. Not as a charm, not as superstition, not as some quaint medieval custom we keep around because it looks nice in pictures, but as a sign that faith is meant to burn, quietly, faithfully, completely. St. Padre Pio understood this better than most. He lived it. You know, there's a testimony from one of the Capuchin brothers who lived with Padre Pio at San Giovanni Rotondo. He said that every year on Candlemas, Padre Pio would spend hours in prayer before the morning Mass, longer than usual, deeper than usual. One year, a young friar asked him why. Padre Pio looked at him with those piercing eyes and said something the friar never forgot. Because this is the day we remember that God became small enough to hold, and if God can become that small, then my pride has no excuse. That's what Candlemas meant to him. Humility, truth, the death of every excuse we make for staying comfortable. He used to say that Candlemas is a day of truth, a day when God doesn't explain himself. He simply shows the light. And the light asks a question before it gives comfort. What in you is still dark? See, Padre Pio knew something we constantly forget. He knew that we spend most of our lives pretending we're fine, pretending we're growing, pretending yesterday's conversion is still enough for today. We light candles in church and keep our hearts locked. We sing about light and walk home in the same darkness. And God, in His mercy, gives us days like Candlemas. Days that won't let us hide. That's why Padre Pio taught that on Candlemas there are 3 things every soul should do, not as rules, not as religious obligations you check off a list, as medicine. The first thing is interior and uncomfortable. He said, do not start the day with noise, start with honesty. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I pray every morning, and maybe you do. But Padre Pio wasn't talking about prayers you've memorized. He wasn't talking about the rosary you say while your mind wanders to your schedule. He was talking about something deeper. Sit in silence, real silence. No phone, no music, no background noise, no rehearsed prayers that roll off your tongue before your heart even wakes up. Just you and God and the truth. And ask one simple question. Where did I stop burning? Not where you sinned loudly, not where you failed spectacularly, but where you slowly, quietly went cold. Maybe it's prayer that became mechanical. You still do it, but your heart isn't in it anymore. You're just going through the motions, like someone who shows up to work but stopped caring years ago. Maybe it's forgiveness you postponed. You know you need to forgive. You've heard 1,000 sermons about it, but that person hurt you too deeply, and letting go feels like losing, so you just don't. Maybe it's hope you quietly buried because waiting hurt too much. You prayed for something. You believed God would move, and He didn't. Or He did, but not the way you wanted. So you stopped expecting anything. You still call yourself Catholic, but the fire went out. Maybe it's your marriage. You're not fighting anymore. That sounds good, right? Except you're not fighting because you stopped caring. You're roommates now, polite strangers under the same roof. Maybe it's your vocation. You felt called once, really called. But life got complicated, and that call got quieter, and eventually you just stopped listening. And now when you hear it, it feels like an accusation instead of an invitation. Maybe it's Mass. You go every Sunday, you check the box, but you haven't been moved in years. You haven't felt anything in so long you're starting to wonder if you ever did. This is what Padre Pio meant by darkness. He warned that the most dangerous darkness is the one we call normal, the lukewarmness we mistake for maturity, the cynicism we dress up as realism, the spiritual numbness we accept as just how life is now. And Candlemas exposes that. It holds up a candle to your soul and says, look, really look. Because here's the thing, my friend, God is not impressed by our performance. He's not counting how many prayers we said or how many masses we attended. He's looking for fire. And if there's no fire, all the religious activity in the world is just smoke. So today, before you do anything else, sit down, turn everything off, and ask yourself that question. Where did I stop burning? Don't rush past it. Don't spiritualize it. Don't make excuses. Just be honest, because the light won't condemn you, but it will show you the way back. The second thing Padre Pio taught is very concrete. Light a candle, but not automatically, not casually, not like you're just flipping a light switch. Hold it, look at it, feel the warmth, watch the flame move, and understand this. A candle only gives light by losing itself. Every second that flame burns, the wax melts, the wick shortens, the candle becomes less, and that's exactly how it fulfills its purpose. Padre Pio said Christians want light without sacrifice. They want clarity without conversion. They want God to show them the way without asking them to change the direction they're going. But Christ did not come as a spotlight. He didn't come as some distant star you admire from afar. He came as a flame, close, personal, demanding. And he said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Not carry a candle, take up a cross. So while the candle burns today, offer something real. Something that costs you, a habit that needs to die, not someday, today. That thing you keep saying you'll give up when you're ready. That comfort sin, that escape, that addiction you've dressed up as a personality trait. A reconciliation you've delayed because your pride won't let you make the first move. That family member you haven't spoken to in years, that friend you hurt and never apologized to, that grudge you're holding like it's a treasure instead of poison. A comfort you rely on more than God. Maybe it's your phone, the first thing you reach for in the morning and the last thing you see at night. Maybe it's a relationship that's keeping you from Him. Maybe it's a dream you're holding on to so tightly that you can't open your hands to receive what He actually wants to give you. Say simply, if it must burn, let it give light, and mean it. Because here's what Padre Pio understood that most of us don't. Transformation is not comfortable. Holiness is not convenient. And the saints didn't get where they are by protecting themselves. They burned. And in burning, they lit up the world. I remember reading a testimony from a woman in Italy. She'd been carrying bitterness toward her sister for over 15 years. 15 years of family gatherings where they were polite but cold. 15 years of pretending everything was fine while their mother quietly broke watching her daughters become strangers. She went to San Giovanni Rotondo and attended Mass where Padre Pio celebrated. She didn't go for healing. She went because someone told her to go. She was skeptical, tired, done. But during the consecration, something happened. She said she looked at Padre Pio's hands holding the host, and she saw his stigmata bleeding through the fingerless gloves he wore. And in that moment, she understood something that changed her. Forgiveness is not about feelings. It's about offering the wound. She went home, called her sister, and said 3 words. I was wrong. Not, we were both wrong. Not, let's move past this, just I was wrong. And her sister wept, and they talked for 3 hours, and the bitterness that had felt permanent, immovable, carved in stone, burned away. 1 candle, 1 offering, 1 moment of death that became light. Now, friends, I know walking this path alone is hard. If these stories about Padre Pio are touching your heart, if you're hungry to understand the greatest weapon he used every single day, I've prepared something special for you. It's called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This isn't just another prayer book you'll download and forget. This is a spiritual treasure that's going to help you pray the Rosary with deeper devotion and understanding. Discover the miracles and testimonies of those who've already experienced its power, and learn Padre Pio's most impactful teachings and phrases about prayer. You'll receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, and you'll get access to special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's great weapon. He called it his weapon. Not his decoration, not his tradition, his weapon against darkness, against despair, against every force that tried to steal his peace. He said, the Rosary is the weapon for these times. Not good advice, not a nice practice. The weapon. And today, it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that's already helped thousands of people. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments below. Now, the 3rd thing Padre Pio taught, the one most people forget: take the light to someone else, not online, not publicly, not in some grand gesture that makes you look good, quietly. A phone call to someone who's alone, not a text, a call. With your actual voice, to that person who came to mind just now while you were reading this. Yeah, that person. An apology you've been putting off because it's hard to say I was wrong, because admitting fault feels like losing. But pride is a cold companion, my friend, and you've been cold long enough. An act of charity no one sees, no one applauds, no one even knows about except you and God. Something that costs you time, money, or comfort. Something you can't post about, something you can't use to make yourself look good. A prayer for someone who hurt you. And yeah, that last one stings, I know it does. But think about Mary for a second. She offered her son, knowing what Simeon said next. He told her a sword would pierce her own soul. He told her this child would be opposed, that many would fall because of him, that his light would reveal the thoughts of many hearts, and not all of those thoughts would be kind. She didn't protect him from his mission. She didn't hide him from what he came to do. She didn't say, no, he's too young, he's too precious, let him have a normal life. She offered him, and she still does every single day, through the church, through the sacraments, through every soul that says yes to him. Padre Pio said, light that is not shared slowly goes out. You can have the most beautiful prayer life in the world. You can feel God's presence so strongly in your room, in your chapel, in your holy hour. You can have profound spiritual experiences that bring you to tears. But if it doesn't move you towards someone else, if it doesn't make you love more, forgive more, give more, then it's not the light of Christ. It's just a feeling, and feelings fade. There's a story about Padre Pio during World War II. San Giovanni Rotondo was poor, devastatingly poor. People were starving, and Padre Pio spent hours every day in the confessional, hearing confessions, offering counsel, praying over people. But every evening, without fail, he'd go to the kitchen, and he'd help prepare food for the poor. With his own wounded hands, hands that bled, hands that caused him constant pain. Someone asked him once why he didn't rest in the evenings, why he didn't preserve his strength for prayer and Mass. He said, prayer that doesn't lead to charity is just noise. That's the 3rd thing. Light must move. This is where Candlemas becomes personal. Because the question is not whether the candle is lit in church today. The question is not whether the priest blessed it, or whether you have one sitting on your shelf at home, looking pretty next to your statue of Mary. The question is whether it is lit in you. Are you burning, or are you just watching other people burn? Are you offering yourself, or are you just admiring sacrifice from a safe distance? Mary did not protect the child from being revealed. She walked into that temple knowing he was the light of the world, knowing that light exposes everything, knowing that following him would cost her more than any mother should ever have to pay. And she said yes anyway. So today, my friend, don't rush past the light. Don't domesticate it. Don't turn it into something safe and pretty that you can control. Let it hurt a little. Let it show you what needs to change. And then let it heal you deeply, completely, because that's what light does. It doesn't just reveal the wound, it's the first step toward healing it. You know, I think about Simeon a lot, this old man who waited his entire life for one moment, one encounter, one glimpse of the light. He didn't get to see Jesus grow up. He didn't get to witness the miracles. He didn't get to hear the Sermon on the Mount or see the resurrection. He got 40 seconds, maybe less, and it was enough. Because he saw the light, and that changed everything. What if today is your 40 seconds? What if this is the moment you stop pretending, stop delaying, stop numbing yourself to the voice of God calling you deeper? What if Candlemas this year is the day you finally let the light in? Not next year when you're more ready, not after you fix yourself, not when life calms down, now. Padre Pio used to say, pray, hope, and don't worry. But he also said something people forget. He said, don't waste time, because time is the one thing you can't get back. And every day you spend in darkness is a day the world doesn't get your light. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, today. Before you go to sleep tonight, find a quiet place, light a candle, just a simple candle. Watch it burn for a minute in silence, and ask God that question. Where did I stop burning? Listen for the answer. Don't be afraid of it. Write it down if you need to. Name the darkness, name the coldness, name the thing you've been avoiding, and then make one concrete decision. Just one thing you're going to change, one person you're going to call, one habit you're going to break, one act of love you're going to do. Small is fine. Hidden is fine. What matters is that it costs you something. Because that's how light works. It burns what it touches, and in burning, it transforms. And if this spoke to you, if something in your heart stirred while you were reading this, don't ignore it. Write your intention in the comments, your struggle, your darkness, your hope. Say it out loud, even if it's just in words on a screen. I need the light. I want to burn again. I'm tired of pretending. Whatever it is, say it, because sometimes one small flame saves an entire life, and maybe that flame is yours. Our Lady of the Light, pray for us. Padre Pio, intercede for us. And may the light of Christ, which never goes out, burn brightly in your heart today and every day. Amen.